Since the pandemic began, the whole country always seems to be on a Zoom call. Right this very second, there are meetings and classes, socializing with friends, family gatherings. They're happening all over the country without anyone leaving home. The amount of virtual video calls has tripled ever since the pandemic started. And sometimes these video calls are streaming more than just conversation. Today, caught on Zoom and video chats, murders, mayhem, nudity, and health emergencies that you have to see to believe.
I'm just wondering if you have...
It's those moments you forgot to mute the mic.
I'm actually so done with Zooms and boring people on Zoom.
Sorry, what was that, Adrian?
Or turn off the camera that prove anything can happen on Zoom, even when you think the meeting is over.
Oh, you requested a kid can record a TikTok? It's literally one button.
Here, two California teachers forgot to log off and were caught bashing their students, not realizing parents and kids were still connected on the call.
When older staff members will say, these kids are so technologically advanced, and I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not.
Foul language is not the only thing that has been exposed on video calls. This senator in Mexico accidentally exposed herself when she changed clothes during a government meeting. Reporter Jeff Toobin was fired after allegedly exposing himself on a video conference call in what he called an embarrassingly stupid mistake, believing he was off camera. Video conferencing companies like Zoom strive to keep their users protected from hackers. But sometimes their video calls have become front row seats to shocking crimes happening in real time, like this home invasion caught in the act on Zoom and in Florida.
I need the police. What's going on there?
A horrified teacher watched her student's reaction as the child's mother was allegedly murdered. In another shocking murder caught on Zoom, dozens of people were on a call when a man allegedly was repeatedly stabbed and killed by his son. But sometimes a Zoom call can actually save lives, like when a weekly happy hour on Zoom took a shocking turn.
All of a sudden, it was Dorothy's turn. We looked at the screen. It appeared frozen for less than a split second, and then she didn't respond to a question.
Her words were very, very slurred, and she started slumping over.
And we all knew Dorothy was having a stroke on Zoom.
It was time to act fast. Call 911.
That last story sends a chill down my spine, probably yours as well, because every stroke that happens, you've got to count every second because that's all you have to fix them. Dorothy, she's joining us now with two of her closest friends, Rita and Pam, who were on that Zoom call that saved Dorothy's life. So, Dorothy, first off, I mean, it is stunning that you're even standing in front of me there. How are you feeling today?
Oh, I feel terrific, Dr. Oz. Thank you for asking.
So you and your friends used to have dinner once a month before COVID, like lots of friends, and then you switched to weekly happy hours on Zoom. So let's go back to that Zoom call, the one that changed everything. Rita, you say that for some reason the call lasted longer than usual. So what were you guys bantering about towards the end of the call?
Well, this evening we decided to talk about fun stuff and keep it really light. And although we've known each other for many, many years, we decided to talk about how did you meet your husband? And we were having such a good time. We were just laughing and laughing.
And Dorothy, you say you heard Rita asking about your husband, and that sort of everything went out. What was the last thing you remember before you actually had the stroke?
Well, it's interesting. You know, I did remember that Rita had asked me how I met Bill. And I just kind of sat there, and then I tried to answer, thought I'd answered. And then I realized something's going on, but I wasn't sure what. I looked down at my arm and I thought, well, okay, why is this not moving? So I'm still a little disoriented, but aware. I tried to get up and I collapsed in the corner of my office.
So this is the part where it sort of gets scary. Pam, at first you thought Dorothy's screen was frozen. What happened on the Zoom call once everyone realized that actually Dorothy was probably having a stroke right before your eyes?
Right, Dr. Oz, it was an incredible experience. It really happened just within a split second. And intuitively, both our friends, Rita and Mickey, just dove right in and said, "Are you okay, Dorothy?" And at that moment, I realized, oh my God, this is a stroke. We have to call 911. So I immediately went to my church directory knowing that I'd be able to locate Dorothy's address right there. So I called 911 and specified they need to go to this particular address. And within moments, I was grabbing my car keys and heading out to go to Dorothy's house to just see if there was anything else I might be able to do.
Yeah, because Dorothy was alone. I mean, your husband's outside, so no one would no one knew what was happening. So, Rita, what was running through your mind as you watched Dorothy alone in her home?
Well, I called Bill immediately. I had his number on my cell, and we were so thankful that he was at home. And then to see Bill come in the room and hold her as she slumped over, it was just so scary and frightening, because you see someone that you love going through such distress, and there's nothing you can do. You just feel so helpless. It's definitely a moment that's frozen in my mind. I'm sure everyone on the call.
But in fact, you guys did do things. You got Bill to come in there, support her. You got EMS to come. Help did arrive. And once Dorothy got to the hospital, the doctors found a blood clot in the artery that goes to the middle of her brain. Now, that little area that's circled in red may not look that big, but when you lose that artery, that's a catastrophe. And her doctor described the clot they found there as the biggest one he had ever removed at the hospital. In fact, they had to go in several times, 3 times, Dorothy says, to remove it. So, Dorothy, you say this Zoom call was divine intervention. Why do you believe Zoom saved your life?
Oh, my goodness. You know, the number of instances I can give you, from the fact that we had a Zoom call and didn't just do this on the phone, the fact that when it happened, the ladies acted instinctively. They were able to get me to the hospital. From the time they got me to the time I was on the operating table was 106 minutes. Now, that's unheard of. And perhaps the most amazing thing is that the next day when I awakened, I was fine. I was as I am now. And if that's not divine intervention or a miracle, I really don't know what is.
You got me convinced. Yeah, I heard the real blessing. It just goes to show you how important friendships are, because they're the real blessings. Everybody, we got to check in on each other. We got to do everything we can, especially right now in the darkest days of this pandemic. Even if it's virtual, it still can save lives, as we just witnessed. Dorothy, Rita, Pam, thank you for your wonderful story. I'm so happy things worked out. And remember, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Let me walk you through this. This is how important it is. They diagnosed her stroke. And you know why? Because it's easy to spot the signs of a stroke. And you want to use the acronym FAST to figure it out. So the F is face drooping, right? One side of your face is not symmetrical if you smile. The A is for your arms. One will be weaker than the other. You won't even know it. The S is for speech difficulty. Are you slurring? Are you unable to speak at all, as you just witnessed happen with Dorothy? And then you don't have much time, guys. I'm going to emphasize this. You got to call 911. Don't waste any time. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. You're not fooling around. Get help. While you wait, keep the person awake. Coming up, is being caught on Zoom more and more. It's one of the most embarrassing things you could reveal by accident. Find out what it is. That's next. We are back with the things you never thought would be caught on Zoom. We always have nightmares of being caught naked in public, right? Well, take a look at 2 people who had their worst fears become reality. Like this mom who walked in front of her daughter's Zoom class in her birthday suit. Take a look at the laughter that ensued afterwards.
And my 7-year-old was Zooming her friends from my bed, and they saw me naked. I don't know why she was in my bed, but what do I do? I have no clue how to handle this now. We're probably gonna get kicked out of school.
I'm literally shaking. So we're doing a webinar tomorrow, and I wanted to see if the link worked. And I opened the link, and it started recording. And I just got out the shower. Oh my god, it's recorded to the cloud.
Well, that's really embarrassing, but at least she's laughing about it. What about if you walked out in front of your entire company like that? Jess, who you just saw, joins us now with her most embarrassing Zoom fail caught on tape. So I've got to say, Let me give a little background here to everybody. You help organize online seminars for work. It's a serious job. You were stressed about an important webinar coming up. So I understand you alleviate some of that stress with a tactic that's worked since you were a child. What is that?
Yeah, so I need to take a shower every time I'm feeling stressed. And as many of us know, we're all working from home. That means I spend all day, every day staring at a screen. And while I was in the shower, something was really just weighing heavy on my mind, which was this very important webinar we had the next day. And so as soon as I got out the shower, my first priority needed to be check that the link works, check that the waiting room is enabled, check that everyone has the right link. Turns out I had actually prepared very well, because when I did check the link, it started automatically recording, but a few hours too early while I was still in my towel.
So describe the panic when you realized what had actually happened.
Oh my goodness. I'm like shaking thinking about it still, even though this was a couple of weeks ago. First reaction was probably 40 to 50 seconds, felt like an absolute eternity. I saw my entire career flash before my eyes. I'm going to have to change my name, change my identity, and move back to South Africa. It's the end of my professional career. That was all like the first minute of it. Eventually, I realized I could delete it. I figured out how. But I did spend the next 3 hours just replaying it over and over and over again.
Did you shower again after you figured out how to delete the video?
I did, yeah, because I hadn't gotten dressed because I was trying to figure out what to do. I was like, okay, I need to relax. Back in the shower I go.
So it worked out. All right, let me bring in psychotherapist Mike Dow to talk about how to shake off a Zoom fail. So that was had a happy ending, but when something this mortifying happens, how do you stop replaying the embarrassment over and over again in your head?
Yeah, so the first thing you want to do, like we just heard, we all have that catastrophic thinking when we're embarrassed. Oh, I'm going to have to leave the country. I'm never going to work again. This is the end of my career. And we have to recognize that that is catastrophic thinking. This is not a 10. It's probably more like a 3 or a 4. So recognize that. And then the other thing from research, we know that there is something called empathy neglect. That means that we fail to recognize that people actually have empathy for us when we embarrass ourselves, and it's not judgment. And so what you want to do is look at the situation from their point of view and correctly really realize that they have empathy for you instead of judgment or shame.
So you've got some steps that we can all take to fix a video call fail, even if it's pretty significant. And this is something that's going to come into, I think, handy a lot, because we'll be talking on these videos for a while. So what are they? Give us some of these tips.
Step 1, own it. So when you own something, you are taking that power back. If you've offended anybody, apologize. If not, be the person to bring it up rather than avoiding it and feeling like you can't bring it up. And then the second step, the most important step, is laugh at yourself, which I heard that she did. So, laughter is such great medicine, and it has this unique ability to change negative emotions into positive ones. So talk to your friends. I'm sure that your friends will be able to make you laugh, will probably have an embarrassing story of their own. And it really does grease the wheels, and it helps us to get rid of that catastrophic thinking and also all that rumination that occurs in the brain.
Jess, I'm glad you figured it all out and you were able to laugh about it. Dr. Dow, wonderful advice as always. Take care, my friends. We'll be right back.